Being ignored doesn't just hurt. It shatters something inside you that you didn't even know could break. It's the kind of pain that has no wound, no blood, no visible scar, yet it bleeds through every thought, every silence, every moment you catch yourself reaching for your phone, hoping their name will finally appear. You become a ghost in your own story, wondering if you ever mattered at all. Did I say something wrong? Did I love too loudly? Did I exist too much? The questions loop endlessly, each one carving deeper into the tender places where your worth used to live. But let me tell you something that might save you tonight. What if being ignored isn't the end of your story? What if it's the universe whispering that you were always meant for hands that don't let go, for hearts that don't go silent, for love that doesn't need to be chased? What if the pain you're feeling right now is actually your soul recognizing that you deserve more than breadcrumbs and maybes? Here's the truth they never tell you about silence. When someone ignores you, they're not erasing your value, they're revealing their capacity. Because people who truly treasure something don't leave it in the dark wondering. They don't make it beg for basic acknowledgement. They don't watch it break and call it peace. Think about the last time you held something precious in your hands. Did you ignore it? Did you turn away from it? Did you let it sit in uncertainty, questioning its place in your world? No. You protected it. You honored it. You made sure it knew it was safe with you. That's what real love does. That's what genuine connection looks like. So when someone chooses silence over showing up for you, they're not telling you who you are. They're showing you who they are. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most honest thing they've ever given you. A chance to see clearly. A chance to walk away from people who were never going to meet you where love actually lives. And here's where your healing begins. You didn't lose them. You lost a version of yourself that believed being small would make you easier to love. You lost a part of you that thought silence was something you deserved. That cold shoulders were normal. That being ignored was just the price of caring. But that version of you? She was never meant to stay. He was never meant to shrink. They were never meant to beg for a seat at tables that had no room for their magic. So they left you. And when they did, they took all the weight of trying to be enough for people who were never going to see you anyway. Your growth scared them. Your voice threatened them. Your refusal to chase any more shattered the power they thought they had. And instead of rising to meet the person you were becoming, they disappeared. Not because you changed, but because you finally stopped pretending that their absence didn't hurt, that their silence was love, that waiting was the same as being chosen. Let me hold your heart for a moment and tell you something true. Being ignored isn't about you losing someone. It's about someone losing the privilege of knowing you. It's about the universe gently closing doors that were only ever meant to teach you what you don't deserve. It's about life saying not this one, not this way, not at the cost of your peace. Every unanswered message was a prayer being answered. Every silence was protection you didn't know you needed. Every time they chose distance, you were being chosen by something greater, by a future where your love isn't a question mark, where your presence isn't optional, where your heart isn't left on read. And I know it hurts right now. I know you're tired of being strong, tired of understanding, tired of being the one who always sees the lesson while drowning in the loss. So before we go deeper, if these words are landing in your chest, like they were written for you, reach out and hit that like button. Let it be a quiet promise to yourself that you're done accepting silence as love. Subscribe, because you deserve to remember your worth every single day. Here's what no one tells you about the space that silence creates. It's not emptiness. It's possibility. It's not absence. It's presence. Finally returning to yourself. Because when they stop responding, you stop performing. When they stop watching, you stopped editing yourself into shapes that hurt. When they stopped caring, you started remembering what it felt like to care about you. The silence became a sanctuary, a place where you could finally hear your own voice again, the one that's been buried under all that trying, all that explaining, all that convincing. And in that quiet, something miraculous happens. You start to remember who you were before they made you believe you were too much or not enough. You start to feel the edges of yourself again, the parts you folded away to fit into their indifference. You start to realize that being ignored wasn't rejection, it was release. Release from relationships that required you to be less. Release from love that only existed when convenient. Release from people who saw your light and chose to look away. Let me tell you about the poetry hiding in your pain. Every person who ignored you was writing you an invisible letter that said, "I am not ready for the kind of love you carry. I am not brave enough for the kind of truth you speak. I am not healed enough to hold something as sacred as your heart." And you, in all your beautiful resilience, kept trying to translate their silence into something softer, something kinder, something that didn't mean goodbye. But silence is its own language, and it only ever says one thing. I am choosing myself over showing up for you. And here's the gentle truth. That's okay. Because their choice to walk away is also your permission to stop following. Their decision to go silent is also your invitation to stop listening for them in every notification. Every footstep, every moment of hope that they'll finally come back. They won't, not in the way you're waiting for, but someone else will. Someone who doesn't. Needs silence to feel powerful. Someone who sees your worth and says yes without hesitation. Someone who makes you forget you ever had to beg for love. And when that person who ignored you finally notices you're gone, when they see you laughing without them, thriving without their validation, building a life that no longer has space for their maybe, they'll wonder what changed. They'll reach out with casual words, testing if you're still the person who used to wait. And in that moment, you'll have a choice. Go back to what broke you, or honor what built you back. Return to the comfort of familiar pain, or trust the unfamiliar peace you've been cultivating in their absence. And I hope you choose you. I hope you choose the version of yourself that survived every ignored text, every unanswered call, every night you cried wondering why you weren't enough. Because that version of you didn't survive to go backwards. She survived to show you forwards. He survived to teach you that your worth was never tied to their acknowledgement. They survived to prove that you can lose people and still not lose yourself. So when they come back, and they will let your silence be the answer, not out of revenge, but out of reverence. Reverence for the person you fought to become without them. So yes, being ignored will break something in you, but it will also birth something. Strength you didn't know you had. Standards you were too afraid to set. Love for yourself that doesn't need anyone else's permission to exist. One day, you'll look back at this moment, this pain, this person who made you feel invisible, and you'll thank them, not for hurting you, but for redirecting you. Not for leaving, but for creating space for someone who stays. Not for their silence, but for teaching you that your voice was never meant to echo in empty rooms. It was meant to sing in spaces that celebrated. Cherish it. Meet it with the same devotion you've always given. The silence that's breaking you today will become the story that saves someone else tomorrow. The absence that's destroying you now will become the presence that rebuilds you into something unshakable. And the person who ignored you, they'll become a memory of who you used to accept before you learned what you actually deserve. Welcome to Psychology Routine. You were never too much. You were just in the wrong room, and the right one has been waiting for you all along.